my presentation today was about NEST. NEST is the first natural estrogen with selective action in tissue. You must remember that the estrogens were commercialized from 1930 to 1943. And in 1929, the first estrogen, that was Estrogen, was discovered independently by two researchers in the United States, Dwas, and by a researcher in Germany called Buchanan. And 13 years later, all the estrogens that are currently used for the treatment of menopause or for the contraception were already on the market. There has been no improvement over the next 80 years. In 1965, Dick Falusi, Hungarian researchers at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, did discover a new estrogens because he was working on the metabolism of estrogens in newborn, and he found estetrol. And estetrol is in fact the fourth natural estrogen, and it escaped to the discovery by researchers until 1965 because it's a natural estrogen, but it is produced only by the human and only during pregnancy and only by the human fetus. The fetal liver produces about 1 milligram a day and per kilo of baby of this new estrogen. And it turned that estetrol is a completely different molecule. It does not look and acts like the other adult estrogens. It is just new molecules with a completely different profile of activity. It activates the nuclear estrogen receptor that is present in the nucleus of cells and that governs transcription. But it counteracts the estrogen receptor presence at the cell surface. And this membrane receptor is particularly important in different function and different cell types. For example, in the endothelial cells, the membrane receptor governs endothelial cell migration, which is important during tumoral angiogenesis. It also is important for the induction of ovulation. And since E4 estetrol blocks this membrane receptor, it will block and decrease tumoral angiogenesis. It will also block ovulation. And in association with a progestin, it makes a combined oral contraceptive that is particularly potent and useful. But at the level of the liver, it has a neutral action. It is not like the other estrogens that stimulate the liver cells to produce much higher level of coagulation factors and to decrease the production of coagulation inhibitors. In fact, estetrol has a minimal impact on the liver, and therefore it will not change the level of the coagulation proteins and coagulation inhibitors involved in a hemostasis. We just completed a study, a phase 2 trial, where we compared 3 groups of women. One receiving a combination of estetrol plus drospirenone. The second group did receive a combination of ethinyl estradiol and levonorgestrel, and the third group did receive a combination of ethinyl estradiol with drospirenone. And the results are extraordinary. They show that what is really important is not the type of progestin, it's not the debate between levonorgestrel or drospirenone. It is the type of estrogen that you use. In fact, by switching from ethinyl estradiol to estetrol, you completely decrease the variation that you observed in the presence of ethinyl estradiol. Ethinyl estradiol is stimulating the production of coagulation factor and therefore increasing the risk of deep venous thrombophlebitis and of pulmonary embolism. Twofold for the second generation pill and 4 to 6-fold for the combination of EE, ethinyl estradiol plus drospirenone. What you want is to have a pill that has a very safe that is efficacious, a low pearl index, but it's highly safe from the perspective on coagulation. And that's what we were able to achieve and what we reported in this meeting.